So today we're going to do a cool demo of AIPack Lab at AKO, which is a new pack about Agentic Knowledge Optimization. And so the use case is as follows. Let's say that you have a website with a big documentation here. So this one is Alchemy, which is a blockchain services. And then you have all of this documentation. If you were going to download all of these pages, it will be about 1 gigabyte. And so it's a huge website and with everything embedded, the CSS and everything. So obviously we cannot send that to AI. But in fact, with Lab AKO, we can reduce that to a sub-megabyte optimized AI content. So let's see how it works. So first you are going to install AIPack over there. So you go to aipack.ai and then you install it from your operating system over there. Once you have AIPack, you do AIP-V, make sure to have AIPack 0.8.5 or above, and then you are going to do AIP check keys. That checks the environment variables here to make sure that you have your API keys for your different providers that you want to use. So now, once we have that, we can do a AIP install lab at AKO. So that is what a pack is, the organization. So we have a lab organization where we have many packs, and then AKO is the first pack of this lab organization, which is Agentic Knowledge Optimization. Press enter, and it's going to install it inside our .aipack-base in our home directory. And it's just 12 kilobytes zipped. And now we can call it as such. We can do AIP run lab AKO. And this agent is going to create us a ako-config.json. So here I am within VS Code, but AIPack is a terminal UI and you can use it in any IDE. So it's just convenient to see the files that we have created. What it does when you run it, it creates a .aipack, which is basically makes this folder a workspace. And now that we had that, the agent created a AKO config, which is a JSON-C, so we can have comments. And then there's different sections that we can enable. So we enable one, we're going to enable the Alchemy one. So we go there and we're going to enable this JSON block. And that will define what we want to knowledge optimize. So we can see that the out there is AKO out/AKO. That is the first sub-agent that is going to do a fetch and slim. We're going to see what it does later. And that is our first page that it will download. It will download everything which is under doc. It will only download the 10 first pages. So we're going to do that first, and then we can make it bigger. That will be the exclude. And then it will do the clean and augment. And that is where it's going to send the raw markdown to AI to clean it and to augment it. And so we are enabling it. We can have an augment model. As long as you have the API keys, you can put any model you want. So in this case, we do the Gemini Flash latest, which is pretty good. Now, the great features of AIPack is that there is concurrency built in. So we're going to do 6 at a time for now. And then we could have a custom prompt if we had this file over there. That would be the prompt that will be used to augment and to clean the files. Now, there's already a default prompt. So we're going to use the default for now. And then the next sub-agent, the LLMs index. So as we augment, we also ask AI to create a summary of the file, which then we can use the LLMs.md, which will be our index. And that will allow us to have a file that summarizes all of the files that there is, such as we can send that to AI to get which file we need to have for a more complete answer. So now the cool thing about that is we can use a different model over there. So let's say that we're going to use GPT-5.mini. And obviously I can use any model name as long as I have the key there. And then I'm going to give a prompt. If I wanted, I could have a custom prompt. Otherwise, there's already a default behavior, which is relatively decent. Okay, so now that we have that, we're going to make sure we save here. So that should be things. Again, you can use any IDE you want. And then you go back to the terminal UI. This is a terminal UI where we can navigate and you can either press R or click on replay. So that will replay a run. So a run is an agent run that goes and run into the things. We see that we fetch 10 pages, 33 megs to 0.09. And also now we are augmenting each of those files to make sure that we are cleaning them up and augmenting it. And because we have a concurrency of 6 here, we can do 6 at a time. Green is done, yellow is pending, and gray is not scheduled yet. So now we have seen that we have done 27 seconds, and that was a cumulative time of 2 minutes. So that is pretty cool. Now, when it's running, we can navigate the whole UI. So now it's the LLM index that takes the summary files. So we're going to see that later. And then here, for example, we see that we took 90 kilobytes of raw markdown files and it reduces by 35 kilobytes. And it's also created 4 kilobytes of summary. Now, if we were going to go into the out here to see this folder structure, We'll see that we have the original files, so we're putting them there. So that is everything that has been downloaded. The fetch and slim are going to slim the HTML because there's a lot of noise with CSS and everything. And then it's going to do the raw markdown. And all of these 3 steps are LLM-less. So we don't need LLM for that. That can be mechanical. And then the augment is creating this one and this guy. And that is where we have all the summaries. So for example, here, every file will have a small summary. That is a prompt, just 1 sentence, 1 paragraph, 3 bullet points. And every file is like that. So now we have a summary of all the files. And then we also have the clean files over there where those are all clean. So the cool thing here is, in fact, you can see all the tasks. And for each task, for example, we can click on 9. Let's go to this one, for example, task X. And we can actually option click or command click on the files. And so here we see the raw files that was sent. So we see that the code block has the line numbers because that was the way it was in the HTML. In fact, they didn't really have block over there. And then we have the name over there. We don't have the code type. And then if we go up, we have all the navigation here. So all of that is noise. So when we send to AI here, the prompt and the agent kind of clean it up. So now if we clean here, we're going to see that this file is very clean. No more navigation anymore. And then if we see the code is super clean. So now when we are going to talk to AI, we can give that to AI to ask questions about the documentation. And the answer is going to be much more precise because we send precise data. So if we send quality in, we get quality out. And that is what AKO is about. Now, the cool thing about that is that it also creates, as I was saying before, this summary here folder. And so that allows us now to create another file, which is this step, and that created the LLMs for the 10 files. And it sent to the AI all of the summaries and say, hey, can you create me a thing over there? And then it created this file here, which is this one. And then we see that that is a format that the agent is asking is to say, hey, a quick summary over there of overall, and then per file path, then you have this. And this is very powerful now because we can send that to the AI and say, hey, here's a user question. Here's all of the files that might be related to the question. Tell me which one you want, and then stuff. So it's RAG without vector database. It's an agentic RAG in a way. And that took, if we go back there for these 10 files, so this is a parent agent and that is a sub agent. And again, you can navigate all the time, all of your runs here. And this is a terminal UI, works on any IDE or just in the terminal. And so we see that the fetch and slim took 10 pages, 33 megs, 90 kilobytes. Then we have the clean and augment, 90 kilobytes, one to 35 kilobytes, but augmented and so on. And with a summary as well on another folder. And then the LLM-NX is just 3 kilobytes. And so we went from 33 megabytes to 0.04 megabyte without losing content, just optimized, including the LLMs index. And that is pretty cool. Okay, so now that we have done that, let's close the files and we can actually go bigger. So we're going to remove this folder. I'm going to go back to our JSON. And then what we're going to do is increase that, and we're just going to do 200. And actually, I think is if you go to 200 or 300, you don't know the whole documentation. But we're going to do 100 for now. That's going to be big enough. That is a limit. Sometimes the file is too big, and then you can handle it in a separate way. But you can make that as big as you want. So we can say, for example, we're going to say 250 over there. And now the cool thing is we're going to use, let's say 32. So 32 at a time. So we're going to see that, and it's going to be pretty cool. So we remove the folder, and then we are restarting from scratch. There is a mode here, or it actually will support incremental as well. But right now, we're just going to restart from scratch. So now I go back here, and I can press either R for run, or press the button here. So either way works well. So I press R, and now I'm going to do the fetch and slim. And so we see here that we're creating the folders again, the same one that we saw before. And we're downloading the file over there. And we see how much we have downloaded so far and how much we did the raw markdown. So all of that is without agent. So in AIPack, if you go to the documentation, you have about 100, 150 APIs. Now, the cool thing about this is we have seen here the fetch agent, half a gig, and it went to 2.4 megabyte of raw markdown. So that is already pretty good, yeah? Couple of orders of magnitudes. Now, when we go to the clean augment, this is a beautiful grid here. We have a concurrency of 32. So now we have all of these things here that are going in parallel. And so we did 20 minutes of work in 38 seconds. So that is pretty cool. This one is pink here because it's skip, probably because it's too big. And now we see that we processed all of these files here in few seconds. So in a couple of minutes, we can get the whole site, kind of hundreds of files. You can navigate and see the file here. So we can see the task that has been done, and we can check the file if we wanted. So you click here, make sure that it's a single line, and then you see here that is a raw guy. That is the cleanup version of it. And if we go down, that is a summary. Yeah? So it's nice because all the links here are the terminal. And when you do option or command click, if you have an integrated terminal, that will go to the file here, as long as it's one line. So now what we can see, we can go back here into our grid view, overview, and we see that it's stuff. If we go to the 100 one, it's probably too big. So this one is this guy. So now we need to think what we want to do. We could do it as well. And then the cool thing is because in JSON-C here, if the fetch is already done, we put that to false, and then we can just decide what we want to do with this guy. We could split it in two, or just try it and see if it works. Yeah, sometimes it might be okay. Or we can put the limit, obviously, higher. So now it's pretty cool. If we go there, it should be almost done. And again, in 2 minutes, we did half an hour of work. So this is pretty cool. This one is probably the biggest one. I put the size here just to be nice. And all of that is a custom agent. So AIPack doesn't know about AKO. It's just that it allows us to do this kind of agent. And in fact, if you go to the AIPack over there, and you go to AIPack, GitHub, and then you will have the labs here, AIPack lab repo, and then you have the AKO. So this is the agent here that we have. We have the clean, augment, and fetch and slim, and those are the files. And so if we click on one of them, and you are going to see the prompt here, which is a markdown and template. And then you see the instruction over there. We're going to put it a little bit bigger. And that is the instruction. And then we give our code here just with handlebars like that. And that is the data that we prepared on top. And then there's a lot of API to be able to display the things the way we want it. So this is why we have the top agent giving a nice ongoing summary. And here we see this one is running. We can click on the sub agent, and then this guy is running. And then eventually it will give us the stuff. That is pretty cool. So we're going to see here how things is going to do. And so it's 99 files because the 100 hasn't been done. And then boom, it's done. And this one with ChatGPT 5 mini, and that is 1 cent. You have the cost of every single task here if you wanted. The cost for the whole run over there. So the 99 pages cost us $1.13 to do the summary and the cleanup. And that is, you have all the information here per task. So that is pretty cool. And now we have our clean version over there. So if we go and look at our file, we're going to have, we have the originals, the slim, the raw. We can throw those away. We have the summary here for each files. And then we have the final one where we have the summary index in a way here, this file that will describe all of these files over there. And this one is only 24 kilobytes. So that's pretty cool. And then we have all of the files over there. And that's it. That is going to conclude our little demo today of our AIPack lab. It's open source, MIT license. You can build your own pack with that, lab AKO. I'm deploying those guys into AIPack. And soon we'll be able to also deploy your own pack over there, but you can pack it and it will be a .AIPack, and then you can send it or put it in HTTPS and people can install it from there. So it's very flexible. And until next one, happy running.